So we work in plastics. There are 7 different types of plastic. If you've never done this before, you can look on the bottom of a bottle. There's a triangle with a number on the inside, and that tells you which type of plastic you have. We use primarily a plastic number 2, which is your things like shampoo bottles, laundry detergents, things like that. We also work with number 6, polystyrene, or think about it as your foam containers. Our mission as VI Plastics is we endeavor to use the plastic coming into the island in some sort of new way. So we want to use that plastic waste, think of it as a raw resource, and make something else out of it. In an island context, the way I think about it is we've already paid the financial and environmental cost to bring that material here to this island. And so instead of just throwing that away, instead of just putting it in a landfill or burning it, or letting it wash away in the water, we should use it, and we can make other things. So if we can make furniture, if we can make lounge chairs out of the plastic bottles that we're already shipping here, it means that we don't have to ship lounge chairs here as well. So we can start to just shift our mind and think about the things that come to the island, how we can use all of that stuff as a resource that we can use to build. I mentioned that we use polystyrene in the board products that we make, and that's a good example of our mission to use the material. So we don't have to put number 6 polystyrene plastic into our boards. We can make boards just with the number 2, but we put polystyrene in because we were able to calculate that we could. So a small percentage of polystyrene actually makes our boards a little bit more rigid, a little bit stronger, and it gives us a nicer finish. So we're accomplishing our goal of using that material in an effective way, and it doesn't compromise our product, and actually it's helping to make a nicer product for us. So first step, I guess, was a lot of research about what the options might be. I had seen plastic boards and furniture made from recycled plastic in Canada, where I was living, and thought, maybe we could try and figure that out. So did some research in that area. Once we landed on this idea of making boards that we would then make into other things, that we would make into furniture, we were working on the designs. We were exploring the equipment, trying to understand the process. Plastics is just like figuring out a chemical process of how the molecules and the different pieces work together. So just a lot of research in that area. I started reaching out to people who were already working in that space, who were already making recycled plastic boards, and learned a lot from reaching out to those people as well. So our initial target was we were going to make furniture that would be suitable for a resort or a restaurant. So we set up some meetings with resort owners, particularly those people that had sustainability goals as part of their business statements. And we got feedback about our designs, about branding, about price points, that really helped contribute to thinking about how we were going to position ourselves as a business. Where our particular journey had some ups and downs. So we just got started setting up a space when, unfortunately, we had Hurricane Irma followed by Maria, and that space that we were building was destroyed along with the house where we had been living. So we paused while things were rebuilt in the country, and then 6 months later we found a new space. We shipped new equipment. We started working in a much more coordinated way with our partners, and a year and a half in, really feeling as if things were starting to happen. And unfortunately, we had the COVID pandemic, and there was a bit of a shutdown again. So those ups and downs that are probably expected. Maybe the last 5 years had a few more significant downturns than maybe we had anticipated. So in this last year, things are really on an upturn for us after a couple years of struggling through. So we've been able to make some capital investments with new equipment, new materials to help our process be more efficient, to help us go faster. We've been able to make investments in employees and bringing more people on. And now it feels like we're turning the corner, and I can really see a stable financial future for us in this, in the place and the path that we are right now. Becoming an entrepreneur was very different from what I had been doing before. So I work now in plastics, but my degree is actually in psychology, and I had been working as a policy analyst in government. So I had always been an employee, and being an employer, I can tell you, feels different. So one of the main things is now people rely on you to pay them. So they, for that person to pay their rent, you have to make sure that you pay them, and you pay them on time. So that's a pretty significant change that I really noticed, that sense of responsibility. But at the same time, I've loved bringing other people into this. So I'm really passionate now about recycling plastic, of all things. And it's exciting to bring other people in and see them get excited about it too, and want to contribute and want to help the business grow. Don't try and make your first product, your first thing, too perfect. So in the innovation world, they have a thing called the minimum viable product. So this is the most basic, quickest, cheapest version of your product idea that you can generate, that you can put out there. So you want to make a minimum viable product, an MVP, and then actually take that out to customers and get feedback. Because what you don't want to do is invest too much in trying to make your product just so perfect, because it's possible you're going down the wrong path, that you're not actually meeting their needs. So our first product, the first bench that we made, was not good. It was a bench, but it wasn't. It didn't have sufficient finish. It wasn't perfect. But it was fine for what we needed. So we took it to someone who we had been talking with a lot, someone who we knew supported us, a company, and they were able to give us feedback. It needed to be a little bit deeper, it needed to be a little bit lower, these types of things. And we talked about the kind of finish that they would want to see in a product. And that meant that we didn't go down the wrong path trying to build what we thought people wanted. We actually took something that they could see and touch, and we asked them, is this right? What should we do differently? And that helped us a lot. And we continue to do that. So we always make a version, a prototype, when we're designing a new product, and we take it out to people. So we were making recycling stations for school classrooms. And we had 2 ideas. We took 2 quick versions of that idea. And by quick, I mean, we didn't make the whole thing out of plastic. Some of the pieces were just cardboard boxes. And we took it to teachers and we said, which of these would be better for you? What are we missing? What does it need to include? How can we make sure this meets your needs? And ultimately, by doing that MVP, you're saving yourself a ton of time, because you're gonna make a close starting point and get feedback and contributions, so that the thing you actually invest your time in building is the thing that your customer wants you to have. Nonprofit groups, government groups, big businesses who happen to hear about our story, I would say that you can do a lot to support emerging social entrepreneurs. So one thing that you have as a government, as a big business, as a nonprofit group, is you can make an investment of not just some money, but also time. So something that I like to think of as patient procurement. So if you have the opportunity to buy something from a social entrepreneur that maybe they can't make right now, but they will be able to. If you can sign that contract, or have a work order, put down that 30% deposit and let them build to that. So it creates a growth ladder, and it's a lot of how we've built the business and built the infrastructure that we have around us, is that our first big contract, we had to grow to get there, but they gave us a deposit that allowed us to grow to get there. We had to buy a new machine in order to be able to make boards fast enough. We had to do all these things, so that once we delivered on that, we were bigger and stronger. And then the next contract came, and it allowed us the time and set a goal for us about how we needed to grow in order to meet the needs of our customers. So patient procurement, if you can afford to invest now in something a social entrepreneur will be able to deliver for you in the near future, and you can afford to wait for it, you can help that business grow by making those kinds of investments.